Typically, what the business impact conversation has four parts. An introduction where you let the customer know why you're actually contacting them and why you want to have this kind of conversation. And maybe it's something like, you know, Mr. Smith, one of the things I wanted to check with you about is to have a conversation with you to see about the value that you've seen since being a client of mine and my company. So would you mind if I ask you a few questions about your experiences as a client of ours? Okay, so it's that simple, short and sweet, maybe it's 2 sentences. The client will always say, sure, Maynard, go ahead, fire away, ask me whatever you want because we love you guys, or whatever their answer is. Normally it's going to be where they're ready to proceed with the conversation. The second part of the business impact conversation we call the before picture, and what that means is you want that client to hearken back or to think back to the time before they had your company as their provider. Because you need to understand something. They switched to you guys, okay? So they either had some problems or some challenges that were unresolved with their previous supplier or provider, so they switched to your company. So I think it's really important as a sales professional to allow that client to think back to the days before they had your wonderful service and to actually think back to all the problems they had and the frustration they had with their previous provider. Hopefully they won't curse when they're giving you the before picture responses, but you really, that's beneficial for you as a salesperson to get them continually to think about how good they've got it with your company as their supplier or provider. So the before picture, you ask questions like, if you could, Mr. Client, think back to the time before you had us as your provider, and talk to me a little bit about the challenges that you had with your previous provider, you know, and why you even looked to us in the first place as a potential new vendor for services. Okay, so then they're going to talk. That's perfect. Again, as a sales professional, the whole time that they're talking, man, you're taking copious notes. Next, we go to the after picture. Okay, the after picture in the business impact conversation is when you're fast forwarding to the here and now, to the present. You want the client to actually think about the value they're receiving from your company. So this part of the conversation serves so many purposes. One of the purposes that it serves is to actually get your customer solidifying them as a loyal client, not just a satisfied client, but a client that's loyal, because you help them connect the dots as a salesperson in this conversation or as a consultant in this conversation. You help them connect the dots on what their ROI is being a client of your company. Okay, so it might sound something like this. You know, Mr. Smith, if you could, talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you've been able to do business-wise since you've switched to our service. Oh, you've been able to do this, this, and this. Mr. Smith, this might be a tough question, but what do you think that's worth for your company? Okay, so in the after picture portion of the business impact conversation, you have got to get the client giving you a percentage figure or a dollar, preferably a dollar figure of how much, by virtue of being with your company now as a loyal client, hopefully, how much your company and your services have actually aided their bottom line at the client company.